James is interested in getting going here, folks. So we have a quorum, I believe. Oh, but one. All right. Excellent. We would like to begin tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everyone would please stand. Come on in, everyone. There's plenty of seating up front. We'd like to welcome all of you to our city council meeting tonight. And at the beginning of all of our council meetings, we'd like to go over some basic standards of conduct. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with us tonight and to participate and see your local government at work. To talk about to begin tonight, let's talk about some guidelines for decorum and civility to help everyone feel comfortable and safe to participate. Please be respectful during other people's comments. Avoid cheering or jeering because it could cause someone to feel intimidated. Please also help take care of the historic meeting room by not standing on furniture or leaning against the decorative pieces. If you have a sign or a prop, doesn't look like it tonight, or another piece of equipment, please make sure that it does not cause disruption or block other people's views. Also, items like sticks and dowels are not allowed in the room here. And please do not approach the dais here. If you have something to pass out to the council, a council staff member can help you. Council staff, can you raise your hands so we know who you are? Thank you. And they're also here to help you in any other way. So if you need any assistance or have questions, please raise your hand and a staff member could come to you and help you out. We also recognize that 2 minutes of comment time may not be long enough to get all your thoughts outlined tonight. Please visit our website, slccouncil.com, or refer to the contact information sheets by the speaker cards for information about other ways to share your comments with the council via email, phone, or mail. Now, we're going to...
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I move that the council approve the work session meeting minutes of Tuesday, February 5th, 2019.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Mendenhall, a second by Councilmember Rogers. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. We are on to item A5. The council will consider adopting a joint ceremonial resolution with the mayor supporting the United Nations Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, and I will turn the time over to Council Chair Charlie Luke to read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The resolution reads as follows. Joint resolution supporting the United Nations Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. Whereas nuclear weapons are an existential threat to all higher life on Earth, including us, and whereas all residents of Salt Lake City have the right to live free of the threat of nuclear annihilation, and whereas the 9 nuclear-armed countries possess an arsenal of nearly 15,000 nuclear weapons, more than 9,000 of which are operationally deployed, and whereas detonation of even a single modern nuclear weapon on one of our cities would profoundly change the course of our history, and whereas atmospheric physicists have said that detonation of even 100 Hiroshima-sized nuclear bombs on cities far from us would send millions of tons of smoke into the stratosphere, blocking sunlight and creating a nuclear winter in the entire northern hemisphere, with the result that no harvest would be possible for up to 10 years, causing famine and grave social disruption for billions of humans, including those in Salt Lake City. And whereas launch authority in the United States is in the hands of a single person and a first launch would quickly escalate into catastrophic all-out nuclear exchange, and whereas the Department of Energy now spends $15 billion per year to secure the United States nuclear arsenal, clean up contaminated nuclear weapon manufacturing sites, including Superfund sites, and crucially, monitor and sequester fissionable materials worldwide. And whereas the planned expenditure of up to $1.7 trillion to enhance our nuclear arsenal will only exacerbate the problems listed above and fuel a global nuclear arms race already well underway. And whereas the production of new nuclear weapons will threaten health and the environment by creating dangerous radioactive waste, as well as pressure to test new designs, risking a new generation of downwinders or people made ill by radiation released during explosive nuclear testing. And whereas the threat of weapons of mass destruction use is contrary to the rules of international law and in contravention of the Charter of the United Nations regarding threats against other countries, and in violation of numerous United Nations resolutions calling for the elimination of nuclear weapons. And whereas in 2017, 122 United Nations member countries adopted the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, prohibiting the possession, development, testing, use, and threat of use of nuclear weapons. And whereas the United States Conference of Mayors, the cities of Baltimore and Los Angeles, and the state of California have all passed resolutions in support of the treaty. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Salt Lake City Council and Mayor of Salt Lake City join these voices in calling the United States to support the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, and calls on present and future United States administrations to show leadership and work with all nuclear-armed countries to negotiate verified elimination of all nuclear weapon arsenals. Be it further resolved that the Salt Lake City Council and Mayor of Salt Lake call upon our federal leaders to spearhead a global effort to prevent nuclear war by renouncing the option of nuclear weapons first, ending the president's sole unchecked authority to launch a nuclear attack, and canceling the plan to replace its entire arsenal with enhanced weapons. Be it further resolved that the Salt Lake City Council and Mayor of Salt Lake City will transmit copies of this resolution to the President of the United States, each United States Senator and Representative from Utah, and to the Governor of Utah, asking them to support the United Nations Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. This resolution is signed by Mayor Jackie Biskupski and all 7 members of the Salt Lake City Council. So at this time, I would like to make a motion that we approve the resolution.
Second.
We have a motion by Council Chair Charlie Luke, a second by Councilmember Amy Fowler. Is there any
Wow.
discussion on the resolution by the body here? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Mr. Chair, at this point, I'd like to invite our guest from UCAN up to present the resolution. And if all council members would like to join us for this photo.
Okay. All right. Thank you all very much, and to the council, thank you. We are now ready to hold the public hearing portion of our meeting. We have a few opportunities for public comment tonight, and we'll call people based on the comment cards that have been turned in. Typically, I call 2 at a time, so when the first person comes up, second person, please be ready to follow them to the microphone. The comment time is limited to 2 minutes per person, and you cannot combine time with another speaker. As a reminder, again, to help create a civil and respectful meeting, be respectful during other people's comments, no loud noises or disruptions. Do not block other people's views with signs or other items, and please allow council staff to help pass out any handouts you may have And I failed at the beginning to also make you all aware that if you did park in the underground parking at the library parking garage, we do have validation for you, so please see a member of the council staff before you leave for that validation. So tonight, I have our first public hearing is B1 regarding an ordinance budget amendment number 5 for fiscal year 2018-19. And I have one card so far. Cristobal, you heard Cristobal? Yeah. There you are. Come on up.
Good evening. Cristobal Villegas, he, him, they, them. I'm so glad I get to approach you all. When I was listening to this work session for this particular item, it was great. Understanding that we are definitely putting money into the census coordinator, I think that's a really great step forward. I do want to say something about about 3 work sessions ago. I heard y'all talk about how job position descriptions can have implicit bias toward including or excluding the binary of genders. I think it was really great hearing Councilmember Mendenhall talk about this explicitly, as well as Councilmember Fowler. But even though it was a binary of genders, I still felt it was beneficial to the overall gender conversation. However, although the dichotomous insinuation of genders, I felt what was said was great, but it also did not include the racial construct that needs to be talked with gender as well. We can't separate gender without talking about race, and we can't talk about race without talking about class, and then we can't talk about class without talking about gender, right? These 3 things are stuck together. And so in this position description for a census coordinator, I felt that it did not explicitly say that the person should have an understanding of marginalized identities historically present in census counting, from different definitions of race toward different European descent, of Asian descent, Polynesian descent, Latinx descent. I think it would be great to have future positions, or I don't know what y'all could do, but at least make sure that the person hired can understand that these things that need to be included. That's cool to have a bachelor's in public admin, but if they don't understand the historical suppression of Salt Lake City towards certain ethnicities, specific sexual orientation, specific economic classes, then I will say the census coordinator is not valid in my eyes. So I would hope that as you pick, you will be able to have that in mind.
Thank you, Mr. Vegas. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak tonight on this topic? Raise your hand, we can get you a card. Okay, seeing none. I'd look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council close the public hearing and refer action to a future date.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Rogers, a second by Councilmember Wharton. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. We are now on to potential action items on our agenda. Our first is item C1 regarding a proposal that would amend the zoning and future land use map for property located at 515 South, 400 East.
Mr. Chair, I move the council rezone the property located at 515 South, 400 East from RO to RMU and amend the future land use map.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Rogers, a second by Councilmember Fowler. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Our second potential action item is regarding an ordinance pertaining to regulation changes for open space and similar uses. Do I see a motion by anyone?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I move
Yes.
the council adopt an ordinance amending various sections of Title 21A of the Salt Lake City Code pertaining to regulation changes for open space and similar uses.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Mendenhall, a second by Councilmember Luke. Is there any discussion on this item? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Mr. Chair? Sorry.
Yes.
When you feel that the time is right, I need to let you know something about the budget amendment.
Okay.
May I do that now?
Let's do that now, please.
Okay. There was one item that was added tonight by the council, and that was the tuition reimbursement expansion.
Okay.
And so what we were thinking is that you would continue the hearing, and what actually happened was that it was closed.
All right.
Probably because we didn't change our sheets. So what you would do is a motion, if you wanted to, motion to reconsider, and then have that voted on, and then you would redo that motion if that's your desire to continue to have that hearing open.
Well, I'll entertain a motion to reconsider.
Since
So
I made the
moved.
motion, I'll make a motion to reconsider.
I move, Mr. Chair, I move to reconsider the budget amendment motion.
Okay, so we have a motion to reconsider. Can you repeat what the motion would be at this point?
Yes, the motion is to reconsider Budget Amendment 5.
I'm seconding Amy's motion.
It's Amy's motion.
Sorry, I just want to make sure we're checking all the moving boxes here, or all the boxes here.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion to reconsider, and the new one would be to continue the public hearing to a future date?
Yes, you would vote on that motion first, and then next you would consider
Do
the
that.
other.
Okay. So we have a motion by Councilmember Fowler, a second by Councilmember Wharton. Any discussion on this? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Now we need to do a new motion. I'll entertain a new motion on budget item amendment number 5.
I move that the council continue the public hearing to a future date.
We have a motion by Councilmember Rogers, a second by Councilmember Fowler. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you very much. Our second, our last potential item is C3 regarding an ordinance pertaining to conditional building and site design review zoning text amendment.
Mr. Chair, I move the council approve an ordinance amending I just made this motion, I'm sorry. Didn't we just do this CBSDR? Or was that the open space?
That was open
I'm
space.
sorry, then I don't have the right motion sheet in front of me.
I have
Someone
it.
else. Yeah.
I move that the council, ordinance that I move that the council ordinance that amending various section of Title 21A of the Salt Lake City Code pertaining to conditional building and site design review.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Valdemoros, second by Councilmember Wharton. Any discussion on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. We are on to comments, we are on to questions of the mayor. Any questions from the council members to the mayor tonight?
Yeah, we have a list.
Yeah, we have a list. Anybody would like to take those on, or shall I?
The mayor isn't here, Mr. Chair, so I guess I can go over it.
We do have Deputy Chief of Staff David Litt back here, though. Thank you, Dave, for being here.
Would you like me to do that?
Please, go ahead.
All right, David, you've got these in front of you as well. I guess that would be from March 26th is the first question, acting city attorney. I know that we talked about that, and we were looking at it. I don't know if there's been any updates or status
There's not
updates.
any update on that yet.
Any idea when there might be one?
I do not have I do not know on that one.
Okay. This one is from February 19th. This is the comprehensive administrative review on funding requests. So the question was, will the administration incorporate a practice that all funding requests from the administration include administrative analysis to include feedback from the city attorney, finance department, and relevant city departments? I guess this is kind of like what we're doing in the RDA when we're talking about 900 South and making projects with every department work together. I mean, it makes it more fluid. Any idea where we're at with that?
I thought we had already responded to this, that would be our intent, that we would be following along with this intent.
I think we're looking for something back in writing.
Okay. I can follow up on that, Mr.
Great.
Councilmember.
You're, I think, well aware of the Mill Creek interest in getting that taken care of. I know that we're working on information on that. Pending meetings, we have Salt Lake City Council Subcommittee and Mayor to meet and review informational internal Salt Lake City process relating to the Mill Creek discussions. Do we have any of that set aside so we know who will be meeting from the administration?
I believe Chief of Staff and Cindy have been communicating today. We received an inquiry from Cindy today, and the Chief of Staff is following up on that. Having to do with
Great.
Mill Creek.
So that's, that's just we got to get moving on that one.
Yep.
Flip the page over. There are some that have been answered here. We're looking for if you look at the surveyor error on Exchange Place property,
I did speak to the attorney's office today. They are still working on an analysis. They're looking at whether or not the city has cause of action, what that could possibly be, and what would the risk and rewards be of doing something. So probably a couple weeks out from doing that.
okay, thank you. And then the pending items here, expected future update information and impact fee plan update.
And I provided that update a couple weeks ago in work session. So we are working on that.
I think that the concerns are for us on our needed purchases and refunding money back to developers and making sure that we aren't refunding money
Absolutely.
and figuring out ways that we can do it.
Yes, absolutely.
Golf, would be nice to get that information before the budget.
I believe at the last work, either the last work session or the session prior, in work session, we discussed bringing golf to the council before the budget to have some of these conversations.
Before budget cycle?
I believe so.
Okay, and then the other one is just back to Brickyard on future conversations as well. So,
Anything else from the council members tonight? All right, thank you very much, Mr. Litvak. We are on to item D2, taking general comments, and I will call people based on the comment cards that have been turned in. Thank you, Cindy. Okay. Just like public hearings, we'll call you up two at a time. The first person come forward to the microphone, the second person be ready right afterwards. Comment time is 2 minutes per person. You cannot combine again with other people. And as a reminder, please help create a civil and respectful meeting by the things we outlined earlier. We are going to start with Stephen Winters and follow with Sarah Crane.
Good evening, council members, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Stephen Winters, and I am the Salt Lake City Police Association president. For years and years now, we continue to struggle with pay inequity in Salt Lake City, and the trouble issue continues today. As Salt Lake City Police stands, currently we're in the 8th or 9th position among Wasatch Front police agencies pertaining to hourly rate of pay. Should I point out that Salt Lake City's calls for services are higher than any other PD. Hazardous encounters for officers are much more likely in Salt Lake City than other agencies. Exposures are more frequently in Salt Lake City for officers. Officer-involved critical incidents are more likely to happen here. Felony arrests are more frequent than any other agency. Assaults on officers are more likely to happen in Salt Lake. And injuries to officers in Salt Lake are at an all-time high. This pay inequity simply cannot continue. Interesting aspect, if one was to need a brain surgeon, I don't believe that any one of us would go to a foot doctor. But the pressures on police have never been more difficult than they are today. We are asking officers to be family therapists, marriage counselors, financial advisors, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, doctors, and legal advice. We demand officers to respond to family fights within minutes, robberies the next time, then go on to an abuse case, and then back on a traffic accident, which clearly is fatal. We help mop up the ungodly scene, all before our lunch break. That's if we even get one in the first place. We will demand our officers do friendly services with a smile and professional at all times. We are constantly reminded that we should know that the public has no idea what they have gone through. Please remember, we're human as well. Council members, as we continue to move forward with the expected UN coming in August, with the growing possibility of the Olympics, with all the concerts, jazz games, corporate-sponsored activities, how do we continue to ignore the growing problem of pay inequity? Just how simply can we do that?
Mr. Winters, if you could move quickly, if you wouldn't mind.
Almost done.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Each of you were provided with a copy of the Mercer Salary Survey. Also, the CCNA recommendations Both organizations recommend a salary adjustment to be competitive, which police officers clearly fall in that category. In conclusion, I ask that each of you as City Council to correct this inequity. I ask that each of you reach out to the negotiating staff and encourage them to come forth with a suitable resolution to this issue. We all have obligations to protect the public. We do not, in our current state, we cannot recruit the best talent out there without paying them. Instead of wages is nothing more, and our failure to respond to these things is nothing more than a principle that we must continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Winters. Sarah Crane, followed by Alan Gibbich or Gibbick?
Get it?
Gibbick, excuse me. Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm Sarah Crane, and I'm a resident of Salt Lake City. I live in Amy Fowler's district, and I'm also a police officer, and I work for Salt Lake City. And so we're coming here, and this is my little boy, and we're asking that you consider increasing our pay. I've worked with most of these guys on calls, and I want to tell you that our police officers are some of the best people you will ever meet. They do a phenomenal job. They are passionate, they are smart, they are caring, and they work really hard. And we should be really proud of the people that we employ. But we're going to start losing them because we have to consider our families, and we have to consider our pay. And so we don't want to lose our talent to other agencies that are willing to pay more. We're the capital city, so we should have the best police force, and we do. So we should try and keep it that way by giving our guys a raise. We've historically been in the top pay, and it's been slipping. And because we've had that top pay, we've been able to steal the talent from the other agencies. A lot of our guys, myself included, are from other agencies, and we've come here, and we love it here, and we want to stay here. And I'm hoping that you guys will help us to stay here, because we have a great police force that we should be proud of and we should take care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Crane. Alan, and following him will be Jonathan Fatisi Manu.
Thank you. I have the same thoughts. I wrote something down. It'll be 2 minutes. I'm Alan Gibbick. I've been with the department for 13 years now. I immigrated here with my family in 1999. Before then, we lived in Germany in the mid-90s as Bosnian war refugees. In second grade, I told my teacher I wanted to become a police officer. She replied, "In Germany, you can only be a garbage man." When I came to Utah, I told my 9th grade teacher the same thing. She said, "Awesome. Why don't you join the Salt Lake City Police Explorers?" I did. This is when I joined the Salt Lake City Police family. I was 15 when I became a police explorer and 21 when I became a police officer. Salt Lake is where I grew up. Salt Lake is my home. I went from teen to young adult to man in Salt Lake City. It is where I made my dumbest mistakes and earned my greatest achievements. I firmly believe that it is my mission and purpose in life to be a police officer. I believe in it so much that regardless of the heartaches, the headaches, and the struggles, I still feel like I will be doing this for the rest of my life. I am a Salt Lake City police officer. It is who I am. However, I have recently applied for a position at a different city in the Valley. I am looking at an almost 15% pay raise if I make the switch. My experience will not go unnoticed by this city. They know and value experience and what it does for the community. Getting paid almost $2 an hour more, not paying a car take-home fee, a 6.5% contribution to a 401k, and a $200 a month payment in lieu of health insurance. Newer and better equipment such as vehicles that are not 12 years old and leak oil in my garage is also great. Every year I stay here, my paychecks are worth less money. One example is that I have to keep increasing my family's grocery budget every year to keep up with the rising costs, but my checks are worth less every year. So I ask you, if you were me, would you make the switch for 15% to a company who recognizes your market value?
Time.
5 seconds.
Go ahead.
I believe that Salt Lake officers are the best of the best. We have the experience here that no other police officers in the state have. Yet a lot of us feel like we're in a sinking ship. Please save us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbick. Jonathan Fatisi Manu, followed by, I want to say Pete Savers, but I could be wrong. I apologize. Savers? All right.
Esteemed members of the Salt Lake Council, Salt Lake City Council. My name is John Fatissimano. I'm also an officer with the Salt Lake City Police Department. I've been with this department for 5.5 years and have come to love and respect the officers that I work with. It's for these officers, many of who are here with us today, that I decided to run for a position within the Police Association, and more importantly, why I now stand up to speak on their behalf. Last year, the Salt Lake City Council voted to raise their part-time salary from $26,291 to $35,925 a year. It passed with the unanimous vote. No surprise there. I'd like to point out that this is a part-time position where you are expected to serve approximately 10 hours a week. Okay, we all know that you guys do more than that, but that's the expected amount of time that you're asked to contribute. If you serve your 10 hours a week, you know, you make $35,925 a year. Okay, congratulations. That sounds like a pretty sweet gig to me. That's about $71 an hour if you kind of divide that up amongst 10 hours. Councilwoman Erin Mendenhall is quoted in the Salt Lake Tribune as saying, quote, "This is an entry-level elected office. Every single person in my district should have the opportunity to serve here without it costing their family. That's what this is about," end quote. Well, our entry-level officers make $42,848 before taxes, and that's a full-time position, 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. Like you, Councilwoman, we think that we should be able to work here and not have it affect our families. That's what we're about. According to the same Salt Lake Tribune article, the executive director of the city council, Cindy Gus Jensen, told council members that, quote, "New challenges posed by growth, the inland port, and homelessness issues take increased amounts of time while pay has stagnated." Well, Executive Director Gus Jensen, we completely agree with you as well. But keep in mind that while this city council sits in meetings and discusses these issues, the police officers of this department are the ones that are out on the streets actively dealing with those same problems 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. While you're able to vote your own raises, we at the police department are unable to do so, or else we would have by now. Police officers in this department are frustrated, confused, and angry at the lack of cooperation and concern from Salt Lake City officials. The police officers that I represent are underpaid, understaffed, and overworked on a consistent basis. Salt Lake Police currently, or just recently, offered 23 experienced officers a position here. Only 5 of them accepted. Okay, this is Salt Lake City. We're the capital of the state of Utah. We should be the pinnacle that other agencies emulate. Instead, our pay raise, or our wage and our benefits package looks like a 2-year-old wrote it with crayon. That needs to be fixed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Fatissimano. Pete next, Sellers, and then Cristobal Vegas.
Good evening. I'm Pete Sowers. I've been with Salt Lake City for 24 years, 10 months, but who's counting? I am. But quite seriously, I'm the vice president of the association, and what I've seen over the years is from the top 3, which we were traditionally, we've fallen. In today's day and age, we have less applicants, and we have to be more competitive. We have done a good job in the past of tearing through other departments, getting the best and brightest down here. Now, every other agency has taken page from our playbook. They're using what we have, career path, other incentive pays, and then they've raised their wages. You've heard it. We work harder here. We have more calls for service. We have a larger area. We have more complex problems. We need to stay on top of this because when people go away, it's 9 months before we have a replacement. 9 months from a new officer coming on to they're going to be a solo patrol officer. That's a huge time, and that's not counting the years of experience and the people skills and the better ways of doing business. When I first started here, 200 officers were eligible to retire in patrol. Today, there's about 30 that are eligible to retire. So we need to think about the future and how we're going to protect this city because we're growing like no other, watching apartment buildings going up everywhere, which invites more calls for service. So please think about where we want our future to be. We don't expect to be the highest paid, but I think it would be fair to say in the top 3 would be not unreasonable. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vegas?
All right. So I applaud these committee members for voicing the concerns. However, Chairman Johnston, I would hope next time committee members that are not affiliated to police officers that go over the allotted 2 minutes, they will also be given an extra 2 minutes when, as well as courteous messages to stop talking, because we all know that is often not the case from you all. So I just want to make sure we're all noting there about that. Equitable pay amongst many city employees is needed, yet it's not only because we are paying city employees inequitably, but because many of the basic necessities, such as housing, utilities, healthcare access, and transportation costs are going up. That is why I also sent you all that campaign finance letter that I wrote for the for Salt Lake Tribune. These candidates that are raising money are getting so much money from different people, from different corporations, and we have one of the most lax campaign finance ordinances that I've been researching. Corporations can give lots of money, and even though we may have that limit per person, our person includes businesses, organizations, corporations, pretty much anything, and one person can make 10 persons, and I think that's something we need to all look at. I've also been talking with different divisions within city government, and what can I say? Lots of bureaucracy. There was a petition in front of my residency, and I went through the proper channels. It took about 2.5 weeks to get anything from them. And when I got some solutions from there, that petition, it was about if the unit can be owned or rented. It didn't even say that. In other words, I wasted 2.5 weeks thinking I can get some sort of input, some democratic engagement, and that was false. So I would ask you all to look into your petitions, how they're posted, what words are on there, because they do mislead the community in believing they have some sort of democratic engagement into the city ordinances and zoning, but when it's false. I do hope that we can, as city council, as city government employees, we can make sure that people know that we have different options available. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vegas. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak tonight? All right. Come on up, and we'll take your card from you if you already have it filled out. We actually can take it up to this. We'll get it. Yeah, go right ahead. Just state your name if you wouldn't mind when you start.
I'm sorry, what was that?
State your name if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, my name is Erin Shoup. My husband is a police officer with Salt Lake City. We're proud to be part of this organization, this family. And just listening to the comments here tonight, I hadn't planned on saying anything, but I do want to point out, I've lived in big city after big city after big city in my adult life. We've lived from Chicago to Seattle, and this is the city that we decided to stay in out of admiration for this police organization. These police officers reflect better than anywhere else I've ever lived they're the most representative of the people that they serve. You have everyone from very religious police officers to not very religious police officers. And in those religions, you have a variety of religions, and it's reflected in the people that they serve. You have many ethnic backgrounds in these police officers, and it is reflected in the people that they serve. You have lots of educated police officers in this police department, and it's reflected from the very educated to those who are beginning to become educated as new members of this country in this community. I feel like if you don't pay these police officers, I don't know why you wouldn't want to pay them a worthy wage. I don't know what message that sends to the present police officers, to future police officers. They have, they brought up the program, the Explore program, where you have a lot of new citizens of this country who are wide-eyed and who are looking at the opportunity to become police officers, and that is reflected in this community. It is the most reflective police department that I've ever seen, and I feel like you will lose that if they begin to spread themselves thin. And I think it sends a bad message. I think if you don't pay them what they're worth, I think that will become watered down. It will become dissipated. This is an amazing police department. Please be aware of what you have and support that and build it higher. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak tonight? Okay. We have one new item of business, item E1 regarding a resolution authorizing Salt Lake City to apply for a $50,000 grant award from the United States Department of Agriculture for a Northern Utah Food Hub feasibility study. Is there a motion?
I move that the council approve a resolution in support of the Northern Utah Food Hub Feasibility Study grant application. The amount being requested is $50,000, and if awarded, funding will be provided by the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Rural Business Development Grant Program.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Valdemoros, a second by Councilmember Wharton. Is there any discussion on this item?
Do we need to suspend the rules to approve?
Yes, thank you for asking.
So just a friendly amendment would be to suspend the rules and approve that motion.
Okay, so
All right, we have a friendly amendment to suspend the rules and approve, a second by Councilmember Fowler, excuse me. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. We have no unfinished business items tonight, and we are now at the consent portion of our agenda. We'll look
Mr.
for a
Chair, I
motion.
move the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda by Councilmember Luke and second by Councilmember Fowler. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That motion passes. This concludes the formal council meeting tonight. Thank you for your attendance, and this meeting is adjourned.